I am Siedah Garrett, and I was born in Los Angeles County, California. Angelino, one of the original. I think there's like 8 of us. Oh my gosh, growing up, my biggest musical influences were Chaka Khan. I loved her voice, and I loved that her voice was like an instrument, it didn't sound like a human voice. It's like I think Miles Davis said her voice sounded like a horn, and I think I agree with that. I love her. Love Stevie Wonder, but, in fact, and loved Michael Jackson. My first 2 records, my first 2 45s I ever bought was Michael Jackson's Corner of the Sky and Stevie Wonder's Don't You Worry About a Thing. So in my 20s, it was all about Prince, and, the Jackson 5 were it for me growing up. Well, I officially got started in the music business when I auditioned for Quincy Jones in the 80s. He was looking for a new group that had the composition of like a Fifth Dimension or Take Six or what was that? Yes, Manhattan Transfer. He wanted a singing group like that, but he didn't know how to. He just auditioned, and I went on a wild, crazy cattle call audition, and I was told that Quincy Jones was auditioning the next day. Somebody called me the night before. I didn't know what time it was, so I showed up at 7 a.m., and it was me and 3 other people. And by the time the actual event audition started, it was around the block. And Quincy told me later that there were over 800 people that auditioned for one of 5 spots. And it was so crazy because I got this official letter. Congratulations, you're one of 500 for the Quincy Jones. Blah, blah, blah. And then over the next several months, the next 9 months, I would get these letters. We're down to 250, 100, 50, 25, 10, 5, 4. It was me and 3 other guys. And we became this group called Deco. And the guys are like real musicians. They play instruments, they write their own songs. I'd never written a song before. So I just wanted the singing deal. I didn't want a songwriting deal because I didn't write songs. I wrote poems. That's what I did. So we all got artist and songwriting deals, but I didn't want that. So they took their contracts to Quincy, and he kind of just looked on the desk, sort of fishing for my contract, and said, "Where's Saidah's contract?" They were like, "Oh, she didn't want to sign a publishing deal." So Quincy said, "You either all sign or nobody signs." So it's like 3 large black men at my front door. "Siedah, you better sign this damn contract." So when 3 large black men are at your front door going, "Sign the contract," you sign the contract. So that's exactly what I did. And I proceeded to learn the craft of songwriting. And they were dropped after a year, and I was signed for 7. I was signed to Quincy Jones as an artist and songwriter. It was like a 2-in-1 deal, and I'd never written songs before. I wrote poems, so I was kind of afraid to take this deal because it was a contract, and let's just say I had to write 10 songs a year, and if I had to write 10 songs a year, all of which I own 100% of, because everything I write is a co-write, so at the most it'll be 50%. And don't let 3 people be in the room, because then it goes down incrementally with every person that's introduced into the session. So I wasn't sure I could fulfill a contract where it said I had to write 12 songs or 10 songs a year, so I didn't want it. But once I had to sign, once they kind of made me sign, I decided that I was going to learn my craft and I was going to deliver, because the last thing I wanted to do was be in a lawsuit with Quincy Jones. Not a good look. So that started me writing songs. I was signed to Quincy's label for 2.5 years before I delivered the demo, Man in the Mirror, to Quincy for Michael Jackson's Bad album. It was kind of cool. I believe my first song placement as a writer was, again, a co-write with my dear friend Glenn Ballard for the movie Lean on Me. What was the name of that? What was the name of that song? All the Way to Love. Oh my gosh. It was really, really cool to it was in a montage in that movie. And it's so funny because there's a comic that does a bit on Comedy Central right now who sings like the whole song in his act. And he said, "You know, you've seen a black movie too long when you got the whole song down." And then he starts singing the whole song. It's crazy, but I love it. And that just music lives forever, and that's one of the beautiful things about being a songwriter. Songs will last long beyond my little life on this planet. So that's a beautiful thing. And then I was signed at a publishing company, and I had a woman publisher who shall go nameless at this point, because she told me when Quincy asked for songs for Michael Jackson's album, she kind of poo-pooed it and said, "Oh, please, there are hundreds of writers all over the world vying for a spot on this record. So don't even, please, do not tell me I can't do something, because that only inspires me to do exactly what you told me I could not do." So first I got the song on Michael's first record, not even thinking about what she told me. And then when it came time for the next record, Michael asked me for a song for the second record, the Dangerous album. And I was telling her, God, I really want to get another song on Michael's records. She said, "Oh, please. You got the first one. Nobody gets back-to-back songs on a Michael Jackson album, so just pfft." And again, you tell me no, it's imperative that I prove you wrong. So, when I got the next song on Michael's album, I had a meeting with her, and it was so beautiful. I didn't even have to say a word. I just had to show up. It was delicious. The song from the Keep the Faith album was called, from the Dangerous album was called Keep the Faith. And Michael really loved singing it because it was kind of gritty and emotional. I loved it. My first tour experience was with the amazing Sergio Mendes. I was, for a short time, part of Brazil '88, and we toured for a bit. But I met Sergio because he was on the radio promoting his newest album, and the DJ had him in the studio, and he was like, "Hey, if you want to call and talk to Sergio Mendes, call 555, whatever the number was." I was in my driveway washing my car. I had a little 68 Volkswagen Beetle. So I'm washing the car, soap, water, everything on the car. I heard the guy on the radio. I dropped the hose, ran into the house, and started dialing, rotary dial. And finally, I got through to the radio station, and the DJ says, he's, "Hello, 1580 KD." It was 1580 KD. And he says, I don't know what made me say this to this day. I don't know where this idea came from. But I said, "Hey, is Sergio looking for any singers?" And the DJ said, "Oh, well, why don't you ask him?" So the DJ put Sergio Mendes on the phone, and Sergio says, "What have you sung? Do you have any music that you've recorded? Blah, blah, blah." Long story short, I ended up going to Sergio's house in Encino and giving him a copy of the one record that I'd made. My grandmother had a copy, and my mama had a copy. So I go and get my mother's copy of the record, and I take it to his house. And his wife opens the door, and Sergio comes down this long, Gone with the Wind, cascading stairway with a straw Panama hat, a big fat stogie, Bermuda shorts, and a Hawaiian shirt. And he takes my album and he goes into his dining room where he has a record player, and he picks the needle up and drops it, picks it up and drops it, picks it up and drops it. Then he goes, And he disappears back upstairs. His wife gives me a cassette On that cassette were 3 Portuguese songs that I had to learn in 5 days. So 5 days later, I go and audition for for Sergio Mendes. And in that audition process was his musical director, John Beasley, amazing jazz pianist. So I auditioned for Sergio, and I ended up touring with Sergio in Brazil '88. It was awesome. But Sergio didn't tour like everyone. He would tour for like, the weekend, or 4 or 5 days, and then come home and chill for, 2 or 3 weeks and then go back out. That was luxury touring. I didn't realize that that wasn't the real grind of being on the road. But I've toured with Madonna on the Reinvention Tour. I've toured with Sergio, of course, and Quincy Jones many, many times on his frequent trips to Montreux, and I've performed with Quincy in the French National Orchestra. It's just been an amazing ride. I can't think, I haven't toured that much, but the people that I have toured with have been pretty special. Michael. And of course, the one and only Michael Jackson. I was on the Dangerous tour. I was set to sing background for him on the Bad tour. I rehearsed with he and the band for like a week. And then my record company said, we got this duet coming out, this I Just Can't Stop Loving You from Michael Jackson's Bad. It's coming out, so we want to get you should have your own record. You should be doing your own. So I listened to the powers that be tell me that I needed to tell Michael I'm not going to be on this Bad tour. I'm going to do my own record over here. Enter Sheryl Crow. And the rest is herstory. I've written theme songs for television shows. I wrote a theme song for one or two of the seasons of the Oprah Winfrey Show, and it went like across the nation we're all on the go. Everybody's watching their favorite show. Oprah's on. Hey, Oprah's on. I wrote that. I've written for television and for film. I am a 2-time Oscar-nominated songwriter. Deuces! My first Oscar nomination came when I wrote Love You I Do for Jennifer Hudson in Dreamgirls. And I was really, really blessed to be involved with Sergio Mendes 20 plus years later when he was asked to do the music for the film Rio with Jamie Foxx and Anne Hathaway and George Lopez and Tracy Morgan. And for that, we were nominated for my second Oscar and his first Oscar. It was quite a surreal time, really heady time. It was fantastic, darling. And I think I'm the only African American female in history to have been twice nominated for an Oscar for a musical in a full feature film. Because of the success that we had in Rio, the first film, I was asked to also co-write some music for Rio 2, which I did with Sergio as well. And I wrote a theme song, or a song that was used in one of the Batman films, and it was really special to me because Tia Carrere sang it. And I saw her 15 years later or something. This was just a few months ago. She actually sang the song back to me. It was like amazing. Music has a life of its own. It lives on its own plane. So, and often my music comes back to visit me. And Michael's music haunts me daily. It's like I can be driving in my car with the window down and someone will pull up next to me and one of his songs is playing. Or I can be in the grocery store and it's on the music. Or I can be in an office building, it's in the elevator. His music is just omnipresent for me in my life and my moving about the world. And I'm just so grateful to be reminded of him literally on a daily basis. It's crazy. This year's been great. I've been fortunate enough to have a couple of things happen I wrote the end title for a new Spike Lee joint that's coming out, soon to be released. And I met Sharon Stone because I wrote a song for her documentary film entitled Femme. And she was just such a powerhouse, just a really strong force to be reckoned with. And I was pleased to give her some musical material that kind of matched her her, her force. It was really, really cool. Special lady. I've been really, really fortunate in my background singing life to have supported such amazing artists like the exceedingly talented and diverse Quincy Jones. I love touring with him because you don't know if it's going to be a jazz tour or a pop tour or a classical music tour. You never know. It's always fun. Wherever Quincy is, it's always sure. You can be sure that there's a lot of fun and food to ensue. So he's always a good time. And I've been all over the world with Michael Jackson on the Dangerous tour, and I've toured the world with Madonna on the Reinvention tour. And I think one of the most interesting places I've ever been was Dubai, for a plethora of reasons where I won't get into it, but culturally speaking, it was one of the most diverse, divergent is the word I'm looking for, not so diverse, divergent cultures that I've ever experienced. Yeah, and I've toured Asia a lot because I love Japanese food. Love Japanese food so much that I have a few Japanese friends as Japanese chefs as friends of mine, personal friends. So personal, in fact, that I have toured with them throughout Japan. Not on a musical tour, a food tour. A food tour of Japanese chefs. Awesome! When you tour with someone of the caliber of Michael Jackson, it's a completely different experience. And there were times when we toured Europe where we stayed in a separate hotel than Michael stayed in, but there were times when there was no like B hotel, so we stayed in the hotel that Michael stayed in. Those were the times where I hated it the most because I knew we were not going to get any sleep that night. Because if we were in the hotel with Michael all night, it's we are the world. We are the children. All night. Michael. It was crazy. So we were in Spain at the same hotel where Michael was, and everyone knew that's where Michael was. So they were lined up on the street. And the hotel had to put like a rope so that their guests could go in and out of the hotel without being molested by all these Michael Jackson fans who crowded the doorway just to get a glimpse of him, right? So we come downstairs, a friend of one of the other guys on tour, we're going to lunch, and we're in Spain. Leather, hello. So we were going shopping. So I needed to get I need to exchange some money. So we were down at the desk exchanging money, and we got our little coins and our little cash, and we're going out the door of the hotel, and we see this sea of people that had just parted because of these velvet ropes. We're like, oh, we don't even think anything of it. So we're going on, these people are like moving to the side, and we're walking down the aisle. And just as we pass the thickest part of the crowd, I hear, hey, there's Siedah Garrett. I turn around and the crowd started moving towards me. Me and my friend, we took off like we'd stolen something. We ran for blocks. They chased us for blocks, and I'm running, I'm going, oh my God, what are they gonna do when they catch us? It was the most frightening experience that I'd ever had to live through. And we ran for blocks, and then I guess they realized, hey, what if Michael comes while we're chasing Siedah? So they eventually peeled off and went back to the hotel. But I'm telling you, it was the most frightening experience that I'd ever had on tour with anyone. And that's just a little sliver of what Michael's life was like every day. That was just, it's scary to think about it. Because they didn't know what they were going to do when they caught up with me, and I didn't either. But I know I didn't want to find out. I know that. Crazy. They don't call them fans for nothing. Fanatics. Fanatics. Sometimes as a backup singer, you're in the right place at the right time. And someone needs you to sing something that someone else was supposed to sing, maybe? I don't know. But I've been fortunate enough to have those kind of standout solo vocals on tours with Madonna. I sang, I had a step out on Like a Prayer. With Michael, it was our duet, I Just Can't Stop Loving You. With Quincy, it's often Man in the Mirror. But these are like special moments within the show of an artist where a background singer gets to sort of step into the light for a moment. But I want to mention one thing, and I want you to know what a special creature a background singer is, because lead singers step out, they do the lead. Most lead singers cannot sing background, because background singing is not about stepping out and being in the lead, it's about blending in. And the best background singers are the best blenders. So that's how you can tell the mark of an amazing background singer. If you can't hear her in the group, if she's in a trio and you can't hear her, that's a good singer. If all three people are singing and you can't pick out one voice from the other, that's a good blender. That's the kind of singer I would want singing background for me. There was a time in the late 80s when I thought I might want to do some television acting and sitcoms and whatnot. And I met a gentleman who's become a dear, dear friend of mine named Jeff Franklin. And I auditioned for a sitcom that he was working on called Wally and the Valentines. Let me tell you about that. It wasn't picked up as a series, but in that pilot, I met Cindy Herron, who went on to be a featured singer in the group En Vogue. Tevin Campbell, who went on to be a featured singer on the Quincy Jones's Back on the Block album and was on Broadway in Shampoo. And who's Rudy on the Huxtables? Tatiana Ali. She was also in this ill-fated sitcom, and myself. So I met all those people in that one ill-fated sitcom, and it was just insane. And Jeff Franklin is a dear, dear friend of mine to this day. In fact, I just got married at his house. It's crazy, crazy. Did I answer all those questions?
You also played a singer on, was it Amen?
Oh, God, that's right. I did a few episodes of the sitcom Amen, where I played the granddaughter of the Reverend, the preacher on that show. He wrote the song for Michael Jackson. Yeah, Never Can Say Goodbye. What's his name? Clifton Davis Jr. That was so cool. Yeah, I did a few episodes of Amen, and I played a singer in the film Species with Ben Kingsley and Ray Liotta. I did a lot of acting where I acted like a singer, real stretch, Oh, I was really blessed to have been asked to produce the vocals from some of the artists from season 12 of American Idol. And I produced the vocals for Candace Glover, the woman that actually won. I'm not saying I had anything to do with it, but who knows? I've been a featured artist or a background singer on a lot of daytime and nighttime television shows like Saturday Night Live with Quincy Jones, and I did Ellen. I did The Tonight Show. We did Letterman. We did Wayne Brady, and lots of daytime sort of news kind of shows. It's always fun. Always fun. These days, I continue to tour whenever Sergio or Quincy ask me to do something special with them. I'm always available for that. And I'm writing a one-woman stage play that may become more of a musical. But that's a different. It's a different kind of focus and a completely different milieu that I'm not fully familiar with. So I'm learning a lot about writing a musical. With the songs from my career that I've been associated with and that I've written for myself and others, that's going to be so much fun. So I'm doing a lot of that. And also, I'm the voice of Toyota for Southern California. So I like doing voiceovers. And it's more like, it's kind of a regular job. Between that and songwriting, I stay pretty busy. I'm looking forward to writing more music for film and television, which I'm in the process of doing right now for some things that have yet to be released and that are coming out as we speak. So I'll be around, Zolling. You'll be hard pressed to get rid of me. When you're in the company of greatness, artists like Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, Madonna, you tend to, I, like Michael, want to take from you and what I enjoy about what you do and sort of incorporate it into my own thing. So take what I love that you do and sort of make it my own. He was the best at that, and I really enjoy doing that in my everyday life. And I'm not only just singing. I mean, if somebody knows how to wax her living room table better than I do, then I'm looking to her to learn how to wax a good dining room table. I don't know. It's just I appreciate people who do what they do, and they're good at it. No matter what it is. I mean, if you're mopping floors, if you're the best floor mopper, then I appreciate you for mopping floors. So it's all about taking something taking from those that you love and just making it and creating it for yourself, reinventing it, pardon the pun, for yourself. I'm paraphrasing right now, but Webster's dictionary defines the word diva as an accomplished female singer who's very sure of her talent. And then I looked it up in the Urban Dictionary, and I'm also paraphrasing, but basically it said a diva is a female gangster, like a female hoodlum, who gets what she wants by any means necessary. I think I'm a bit of both. so that's my answer to that question. I think being a cast member on this show will help me because whenever you're in somebody's living room, you're on their mind. And when you're not, you're not. So there.